Good morning, all of you. My name is Prem Kumar K, Assistant Professor of English, Government First Aid College, Chikballapur. I am going to teach for the program BA. Subject is optional English for the semester second. So in this session, I am going to teach you chapter 8, that is Wings of Fire, excerpt 2, and the part is creation. It is second part from 1963 to 1980. So in the recap, in the last session, we had studied about the introduction about the author APJ Abdul Kalam and introduction to the Wings of Fire. Here, visit to NASA. One of the most vivid memories of LOC is a piece of sculpture depicting a charioteer driving two horses. Means when he visited NASA, when Abdul Kalam visited NASA, he had seen this kind of a picture which was much had an influence on Kalam. What is the meaning of this picture? Means one representing scientific approach and other technological development. Here we can see Tipu's advancement of rocketry that was painted at Wallops Island in East Coast, Virginia. As soon as Kalam returned from NASA, India's first rocket launch took place on 21st November 1963. Sounding rocket called Nike Apache made at NASA. Sarabhai's encouragement. Here, Sarabhai encouraged Kalam very much in this regard. So, in that first dream of Indian satellite launch vehicle. So, in Kalam's view, Professor Sarabhai was experimental and innovator. So, he had real journey of Indian aerospace program. However, he had begun with the Rohini sounding rocket program. Kalam says one must have passion towards his work. That's why Kalam achieved the peaks of achievement. He remembers Khalil Gibran's quote, "Bread baked without love is a bitter bread that feeds a half man's hunger." Means if we don't do the work passionately, then it will be spoiled. That is what the meaning of this quote. And he also remembers Bernard Shaw's quote, that is, all reasonable men adapt themselves to the world. Only a few unreasonable ones persist in trying to adapt the world to themselves. Means all the ordinary persons will adjust to the rules of the world, but only a few extraordinary people will create themselves their own rules and they ask the world to follow those rules. That is how Kalam was much inspired by Sarabhai. Next, we have to see what is reverse engineering. So, the development of Indian rockets in the 20th century can be seen as a revival of the 18th century dream of Tipu Sultan. Actually, Tipu Sultan had a lot of vision, a lot of what we call weapons about rockets. And when Tipu Sultan was killed, the British captured more than 700 rockets and subsystems of 900 rockets in the Battle of Turukanahalli in 1799. His army had 27 brigades called Kushuns, and each brigade had a company of rocketmen called Zorks. These rockets had been taken to England by William Congreve and were subjected by the British to what we call now reverse engineering. Then let us see what are the seven liberties for achieving RATO project. So for Kalam, it was very challenging to achieve the RATO projects or any projects. Here, one of his assistants, Babu, gave 7 points to Kalam to achieve RATO project. What are those means? Financial approval by a single person instead of an entire hierarchy, and air travel for all people on work irrespective of their entitlement, and accountability to only one person, lifting goods by air cargo, subcontracting to the private sector, placement of orders on the basis of technical competence, expeditious accounting procedures. So these are the seven liberties what Babu suggested for Kalam in order to achieve RATO project. Then in the meanwhile, Professor Kurian also advised Kalam. Let us see what is that advice. Professor Kurian advised Professor Sarabhai to relieve Kalam of all the minor jobs which pose little challenge and to give Kalam more opportunities for achievement. Means here Kurian advised Sarabhai in order to give one task, then Kalam will completely involve in that work. That is what Kurian's advice. And Professor Kurian also was so impressed by our by Kalam's well-planned efforts that he inquired if they could make the diamond's fourth stage. Professor Kurian noted thus, plus point in Kalam team was that each of them worked with those below and above in the hierarchy. Means there was no discrimination irrespective of the hierarchy. They all worked. Means they worked like that. That teamwork means more than we. So they dedicated a lot for the team. And Kalam made a point to have the team meet at least once every week. Then Professor Sarabhai used errors as opportunities. Means where there are the problems, means where there are the mistakes, they have to find out the solutions. Here Professor Sarabhai was requested formally to activate the pyro system through timer circuit. Means what Kalam had prepared the pyro system, Professor Sarabhai was asked in order to start that, but when he switched on, the timer circuit was failed, and Kalam was summoned by Sarabhai, and Sarabhai discussed on the issue, and Kalam was very much anxious about this. But later, Professor Sarabhai did not conclude that the failure of the timer circuit was the outcome of insufficient knowledge, but instead he encouraged and he says if they were enthused by a job that did not pose sufficient challenge. And he also says mistakes can delay or prevent the proper achievements of the objectives of individuals and organizations, but a visionary like Professor Sarabhai can use errors as opportunities. Then, how Kalam was very much disappointed by Professor Sarabhai's death. Let us see. When Kalam reached Trivandrum, there was a sadness everywhere. The aircraft ladder operator Kuti informed Sarabhai's death. Sarabhai was died by cardiac arrest, and it had happened within an hour of their conversation. So Kalam was very much disappointed with this. That was a great blow to him and a huge loss to Indian science. Not only Sarabhai a great scientist, but he was a great leader. Professor Sarabhai's body was cremated in Ahmedabad. And let us see after that what are the primary objectives of SLV project. The primary objectives of SLV project were design, development, and operation. Kalam translated the primary project objectives into some major tasks. One such task was the development of a rocket motor system for the four stages of the vehicle. Another task was vehicle control and guidance. And another major task was the augmentation. And let us see what is the difference between science and technology. Kalam differentiates science and technology very easily. Kalam understood that science is inherently open-ended and exploratory, but development is a closed loop. Mistakes are imperative in development and are made every day, but each mistake is used for modification and upgradation or betterment. And Kalam believed that creator created engineers to make scientists achieve more. For each time scientists come up with a thoroughly researched and fully comprehended solution, engineers show them yet another possibility. So here students, what you can learn from this means mistakes are common. You should not be disappointed with them. You should overcome the mistakes and go ahead for your better future. That is what Kalam messages here. Thank you.